They get a huge weight advantage this time of the year over the older horses, over that longer distance. But the Cox Plate, we see so many races across Australia, particularly New South Wales because of their small fields, where there's little or no pressure in races. And the Cox Plate is a pressure race, and the pressure goes on 800 from home, 600 from home. The 600 metres, the last 600 at Moonee Valley is uphill. And those younger horses are vulnerable in a race like that. And I know So You Think won it, but he won it because he was brilliant. Clearly a brilliant horse. Went to Europe and won 5 Group 1s and led and gave nothing else a chance. The pressure will be applied to horses like Presea and All Too Hard if he happens to run, because John Hawkes is like that. Who knows what he'll do? And Piero. The pressure will be applied, and they will be found out. And if they're good enough, they win.
So I agree with that. My only point, Doc, is that if you liked Piero before yesterday, you've got no reason not to like him now. Run yesterday was admirable.
Everything conspired to beat him yesterday.
Agreed. And any other horse tails off.
They get beat. That's right. I mean, he was entitled to be beaten on the home turn and run a good second or third, but he was there to the 50-metre mark. And All Too Hard's a very, very good horse.
Agreed. They ran around the size produce, and All Too Hard was $1.65 favourite in all the boom, and Piero was $3.20
That's right.
outsider.
Yep. And we wanted Nathan Tinkler to earn a few quid, didn't we?
Well,
I don't want to see a billionaire. I don't want to see a billionaire on struggle street.
Mate, he's down to $400 million. He's doing it tough.
I agree.
Now, obviously, classified as fantastic studs going forward, both of those. Onto studs and duds as we have a look at the weekend's action, or the week's action. We'll start off, Ed, with your stud of the week.
I'm going to go with Alex Smith, quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Got a lot of heat last year for just being sort of a game manager and don't do too much. He's, potentially could lose them some games. He's been good this year. He's been very good. He got a break playing against Buffalo's defense. Had a real good game, 18 of 24 passes for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns in that. Very nice in that 49ers rout. Absolutely destroyed him, 45-3.
I'm going to go for Drew Brees, quarterback for the Saints, of course. Saints haven't had a great start to the season,
to say the least.
And, of course, all the pressure on him to try and break your mate's record of 47.
My dad's mate.
Your dad's mate. Was it 47? Or was
it was, 47, I believe.
And then the added pressure. I think the NFL in their kindness allowed Sean Payton to sit up in the stands.
They did,
not?
Yeah. There were a few shots of him on
there were a few,
game,
and he delivered with 370 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I'm going to go with Reggie Wayne. I mean, there's all the nostalgia and the fairy tale behind the story, but whether it be the fairy tale, whether it be trash talk, I just love it when sportsmen can go out and say something and then come out on the field and back it up. There's just something admirable about that. And so, as we touched at the top of the show, Reggie Wayne went to his coach into hospital who's suffering with leukemia and said, I'm going to come back and bring you the game ball when I win. He went out and had 13 catches, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, and he's proven that in 2012 he's still got it, and he's having a fantastic season, and I'm going to give him my stud of the week.
On to the duds of the week, Ed.
Yeah, I'm going to take another quarterback, Cam Newton of Carolina Panthers. Had a great year last year. He's really struggling this year. Had a poor game against Seattle. Now, Seattle's defense is very good. It's a tough place to play, but less than 200 total yards, no touchdowns. And more importantly, there were a couple of opportunities for Carolina to get into that game. It was 16-12. They were driving down towards the end, and Newton just made a couple of bad throws, a couple of bad decisions. It's just really, I don't want to say turning point, that's too dramatic, but there are some concerns about whether this guy is the real deal or whether it's just going to be sort of a flash in the pan and drift off into no man's land.
I'm going to stick with the same team, the Saints, who, of course, played the Chargers last week. Jimmy Graham, the tight end.
What have you got against tight ends? It was Gronkowski 2 weeks ago.
Well, because Gronkowski had a great 2011 and done diddly squat 2012, and Jimmy Graham in the same boat. Against the Chargers last week, 1 catch for 4 yards. I mean, basically he was in the quarterback's pocket.
I could have done that.
Caught one more ball than you.
Exactly. And four more yards than me.
Unbelievable. And he was a high fantasy pick, as
Yeah,
we talked
yeah.
about with Gronkowski. A lot of people on that Jimmy Graham bandwagon. So, yeah, that's a very good pick.
I'm gonna back up with the Bills defense. I know Ed had a crack at them last week, and I'm gonna have a crack at them this week. It's just really getting ugly for the Bills defense. They got smashed by the Pats last week, and then this week against the 49ers, they've let go 621 total yards. They let go 310 passing yards, 311 rushing yards, and didn't record a single sack. So I'm going to say the Bills defense in their entirety are the duds for this week.
So it is studs and duds. A couple of SMSs before we take a look forward. Lee in Lilydale says, with all due respect, the Jazz are fast approaching B+. Cantor will be a weapon this year.
That may have been for the earlier show, because we were not handing out grades on this show.
Oh, no, someone said that the Lakers have been beaten B.
Oh,
grade
B grade,
opposition.
correct. Yes. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Thank you, Lee.
The
Good point.
pre-season easy beats.
Yep, no, good point.
He's taken offence at that.
Yep, fair
Arthur
enough.
says, with the Cowboys a running game, the offensive line is struggling to get any push and create any movement for Murray to work with.
Yep,
Arthur.
probably right.
Cowboys offensive line horrible at blocks as well as pass protection.
There we go.
Doug Free, the 64th last rated tackle in the NFL.
There we go. So, people, as I said, I hadn't watched enough Cowboys games. That's good. We've got a very knowledgeable fan base out there coming to the party.
Given that you've been spitting out stats all night, can you
That's
ask?
what Americans do, right? Spit out
noticed.
stats.
In fact, it's funny when you see those old World War II movies. If they wanted to know whether an American was not a German in disguise, they would ask him what was Babe Ruth
Who
batting
won
average?
the 60,
all that sort of
the
stuff.
42 World Series?
Is it taught in school, statistics?
It must be. You know what's funny? I actually had a
In
class
Australia as well, Doug.
Yeah, we had Bradman on our
called.
citizenship
Yeah,
test.
well, I had sports math. I actually took a sports math class in high school. Believe it or not.
Is this a record this season in the NFL for players whose Christian name is Deshaun?
How many are there?
There seems to be a
There's
few.
Deshaun Jackson. I'm not trying to think if there's another one. It's they're very popular names, those sorts of
Deshaun.
names in the States, as you know. The NBA would probably be a better place to analyze some of the names.
More of these SMSs, which we'll get to in just a moment, but we'll take...
This is Bet Stars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
Welcome back to a Bet Stars and Stripes. Take Betstar on at betstar.com.au. Double fixed odds for all Group 1s on race day throughout the course of the spring as well. Ed Wyatt, Alice Gander and Dr. Turf. An interesting SMS before we jump into it. Greg from West Meadows, who is our stats guru, says, question, why do American sports exclude playoffs from consecutive games and overall career stats? Steve Young career figure of touchdown yards and 6 touchdowns in a Super Bowl.
That's
Look,
interesting.
it is. I guess my only thought there would be that if you don't make not every team makes the playoffs or the postseason, and therefore maybe it's not an equal chance. You play on a bad team, you get some of these guys that never have played in a playoff, or you get some of these AFL guys who've never played finals or only played them once or whatever. Is it fair to compare them to somebody who by luck or chance or whatever ends up with a team that's always in the finals or the playoffs? That would be my guess. I'm not sure that makes any sense, but that would be my guess.
Do we include pre-season in the AFL now and games played?
Not pre-season
in their careers
for life membership, but not for your games tally. Like for example, Simon Black got life membership before he'd played 300 games because he had the 300 qualified AFL games, which is state of origin and pre-season and finals. And finals count in your normal games tally, but not pre-season. So,
Interesting.
Not the Coleman.
Yes.
That's funny, that whole games played thing, too, because that's not a big thing in America. It's more seasons and things like that. The actual number of games is very interesting. That because I was thinking about my dad, who's coached high school football forever, and I thought, I want him to add up how many games he's actually coached and won. So I'm going to try and make that a project to put it sort of in Australian terms.
Let's have a look through some of the games coming up this week, live on 1HD and ESPN, 11:20 tomorrow morning. Green Bay, who are third in the NFC North, record of 2-3, take on Houston, who are playing at home 5-0. Green Bay 266, Houston $1.50. The line is 3.5. The overs and unders 47.5.
Tough game. Look, tough game for the Pack to try and get on track. 2-3 against Houston.
A rampant Houston.
And we're starting to get into that thing where, Houston, Atlanta, at what point are they going to lose? At what point are they going to have a bad game? In Houston, Greg Jennings is out, the Packer receiver. That means James Jones will step up. He played really well last week. Going to be a really tough one, I think, for Green Bay. I'm not sure they're going to be able to slow down that Houston offensive attack.
Despite that, I'm not saying it's open betting, but it's not like it's. I mean, $1.50.
Agreed.
What do you got?
$1.52.66.
That's not a short favourite, really, is it?
No, agreed.
No, I agree, Doc. Yeah.
Agreed.
What was the line? Sorry, what was the line there? Alan?
Line was
3.5?
3.5.
3.5. Always 3.5 because the field goals were 3. Keep that in mind. The 3.5 line
Alan and I
can be
have
tricky.
we've had this argument before, Alan and I, about the flat line of 3.
We have numerous times. This is the game I'm really looking forward to. Tomorrow morning, 7:15, live on 1HD. The Giants, who are 3-2, take on the 49ers. We've had an amazing start, and Alex Smith is in great form, 4-1. The Giants have drifted. They're $3.30 out to $3.50, and there's been money for the 49ers who are playing at home. $1.35 into $1.32. Line is 6.5. Overs and unders line is 45.5.
Giants going okay, Ed.
I think so, too. No, I got no worries about the Giants. It's a rematch, of course, of the NFC Championship game last year, won by the Giants. Everyone will be billing this as revenge and all that sort of thing. I'm not convinced that those guys think of it that way. Tough one to pick, this one. I know it's a cop-out. I can see this going a couple ways. I could see the Giants actually sneaking a win in there, or I could see San Francisco actually really handing it to them. It'd be
Are you
very
putting your
interesting.
hard money, hard-earned on?
No, look, I think what's the line? 6.5 or something.
6.5.
I think that's a line bet for the Giants there.
I agree, Doc. I think I agree with you on that one. Yeah.
Then on live on ESPN, 11:30 on Tuesday morning, first versus second in the AFC West. Denver, $1.96. They play away against the Chargers, who are $1.87. The money has been for Denver. The line is a flat 1, which Doc will be happy about, and the overs and unders line.
I
is
hope it's a
48.5.
1-point margin. You've got to give everyone their money back.
Some people actually give you half face value on the flat
I
lines.
know they do. I
Betstar
know
will
they
give you
do.
money back.
That's the worst thing when you have $1.90 and it's a draw and you'll actually lose on the bet.
This will be, I think the more appropriate question will be, will San Diego sell out this game? Because they really are struggling to get people to the ballpark, and that's part of the reason why everyone's talking about them being a potential candidate to move to Los Angeles. Big game in the scheme of things. You're right, Al. I mean, San Diego 3-2, Denver 2-3. These look like the two teams that are going to win the AFC. One of the two going to win the AFC West. Oakland and Kansas City really dropping off. I can see, again, this is a real tight game. San Diego's hard to predict. I think Denver's going to be better. I like Denver again. Of course, again, I'm compromised. It's my team. I think they're going to do okay. But you Chargers, you're just never sure what you're going to get. It's been the hallmark of North Turner there. You're going to get a stink bomb of a Charger team or a team that blows out another team. Hard to predict.
You been to Mile High?
I have been. I've been to Mile High. Not the new one. I've been to the old one where people stomped the metal in the old one. The thing started to shake. You thought it was going to fall over. Great place to watch a game in Denver. Really, really good fans.
And then on Monday morning, 7:05, the Pats play away. They're $1.56 into $1.52, and they take on the Seahawks, who have been $2.48 out to $2.60. Line 3.5 again, and the overs and unders is 44.
This will be a great game. I think this is a fascinating game between a frenetic New England offense and a stoic Seattle defense and an average at best Seattle offense and an average at best New England defense. So I think you've got some really interesting matchups. You've got Bill Belichick, who's, Mr. doesn't utter a word on the sidelines. Pete Carroll, who's like a cheerleader on the Seattle sidelines. It's just a fascinating game in Seattle. I don't think these teams have played in, I want to say it's something like 5 years. I may be wrong about that, but it's one of those weird, quirky schedules. A Western team and an Eastern team, they don't play that often in Seattle. I think this is going to be a great game. What's the line again, Al, on this one?
The line is 3.5, and the last time they met in Seattle was in 2008, so you were virtually spot on there.
Yeah, okay.
Seems a big price for Seattle, Ed. $2.40.
60.
260.
Yeah, I don't
So they've drifted this week, Seattle.
248 out to 260.
Well, you think people are looking at New England as an elite team in the league, and you got Brady, and Seattle's offense isn't very good. But again, tough place to play. Seattle's defense is strong. Not a horrible bet, Doc. I think you're right. I think that's not bad. It might be something worth looking
I
at.
think Doc just made a little notation there. Do not forget to back them tomorrow.
I've been busy with racing this week. I haven't had a good look at the
Yeah,
markets
that's
for the
true.
NFL this
Yeah,
week.
that's right.
We can quickly fly through some of the futures, mate. Well, not some of them, the Super Bowl market. Houston 5-0. What an amazing start to the season. The Texans have been $5.75 into $5.50 over the last 7 days.
Gee.
The Pats are still at the pointy end of the market, which I'm sort of a little bit